Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Starcraft 2 replay cast. Today it's a 1 vs 1 on Dusk Towers between our red Terran player, DeMuslim. Down on the bottom side of the map, we have our blue Protoss player, Adonminus. And before I speed this replay on up today, I just want to thank everybody for 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you. And for those of you who have not subscribed, who may be watching this, feel free to do so. I produce fairly regular content every 3 or 5 days, depending on that thing that gets in the way of video games called life. And I release 4 replays every 3 to 5 days of all the RTSs that I do. So it's sort of like a bundle pack every few days, if you will. But enough about me. Let's get into this replay. Gonna speed this up to the 8x mark. The 2-minute point of the game when everything starts to get pretty good here. Cybercore and an early expansion from both players. And a mothership core out and about on the field. And going with 2 gas, 1 gas for the Terran. And the command center nearly up. Nexus going to be up a little bit faster than the Terran. And now a barracks with a reactor, dual producing Marines. And an engineering bay coming up, a slightly early engineering bay. Sometimes you don't see those for a little bit later, and you just sort of get dual engineering bays, if you will. Tech lab on the way for DeMuslim. Now, DeMuslim has been around for a very long time. I remember watching DeMuslim replays, I think in 2011, about the time Starcraft 2 came out. I used to watch Husky Starcraft and HD Starcraft, both of which are unfortunately retired now, but created very, very good replay casts. And DeMuslim was always a favorite of mine, adept. Moving out on the field, trying to get a little scouting information in. And Marines cruising back and forth here, and perhaps a little paranoid and gonna come over here and try and defend from any drops. And 2 gateways coming up here, and we do have a warp prism on the way as well, so very warranted and justified paranoia. Warp gate nearly completed, gonna be just about complete by the time that gets about halfway across the map. And the forge weapon upgrades, level 1 upgrades for the Terran as well. Stimpack on the way in that tech lab. And another command center coming up here. So not producing a lot here, just 2 raxing for now while he produces a 3rd command center, and that factory just now coming up as well. So fairly late production here for DeMuslim, but he's going with a heavy economy. Has some Marines over here to defend against that pretty much inevitable warp prism play. I'm going to warp in some adepts first, put them on in that warp prism. And looks like he's going to collect that 4th one. And then drop them in the base. However, quite a bit of Marines already right here. They spot that immediately, and going after the warp prism, can't quite get it, but takes out 1 of those adepts. The other 3 survive in a failed attempt at that warp prism there. The observer checking out everything going on, any troops coming out of the base. And the adepts are released on the ground and warps in a few extra as well. Now the adepts going after the Marines, but there's quite a bit of Marines here. And the adepts attacking a little bit too slow. Unable to kill all of those Marines. 4 adepts still in the warp prism. And gonna warp in even more, release even more here. And gonna ghost all up on these Marines. And now I'd say they could probably take out these Marines, but the stim pack, and gonna be somewhat close here. And the adepts lose out on that good old stim pack. However, just 2 Marines left in that, and here comes even more adepts now on the field shortly. And it looks like he may try and attempt another drop, but there's already another group of Marines ready to go. And now double producing medevacs, getting ready for the push. As soon as those medevacs are ready, now the orbital command going to be dropping. And going to Maynard some SCVs on over. Meanwhile, back at the Protoss base, Immortals coming on out. And in the production tab, Terran going strong here at barracks, or a bunker rather, and Terran armor level 1, and that combat shield as well. Another engineering bay on the way for the Terran as well to double produce those upgrades, double research rather, I suppose, and looks like a couple kills using those adepts. Not too big of a deal there. And so far this Warp Prism play really not paying off all that much. Did kill quite a bit of Marines, but also Marines killed quite a bit of adepts as well, so pretty much an eye for an eye. Neither side really gaining any ground just yet. Bunker here loaded up with Marines and a missile turret over there, prevent any kind of drop play. But now we have some Phoenix out on the field, and the missile turret is way too far out to help these poor SCVs. Phoenix is backing out for now. Did get quite a few SCV kills. That missile turret over there was a slight mistake. That was for getting any kind of warp prisms that may move past there, but while they made it there, this area here was vulnerable. Lost quite a bit of SCVs. Still that observer there unchecked. And Phoenix gonna grab that Widow Mine. I was just expecting that to happen. Widow Mine was a little bit too far ahead of the group. Now going to be moving out here with some Marauders and Marines. 1-1 upgrade, now 2-2 on the way, and just ground level 2 on the way for the Protoss. And that resonating glaze for those adepts as well. And ghosting forward here, going to transfer and try and get up to these Marines here, and he does. However, those adepts took a lot of damage in that process. Didn't really even attack back, took too much damage, did too little. Now the Terran just going to get away there, heal back up for now, and just add even more Marines to the group. When you got an issue, just add more Marines, and a few Widow Mines going strong as well. Now some Liberators on the way for the Terran, and Psystorm on the way for the Protoss. And the battle continues here. Lots of Marauders being lifted up. And looks like the Terran lost out a little bit on that one. And a fourth expansion on the way, rather third expansion on the way for the Protoss. Liberator going to be firing away here, but Liberator is going to take a lot of damage from all of those Phoenixes. Very nice Phoenix play so far. So far, so good. And the Phoenix just getting in all the right places where there just isn't a missile turret to help do some damage. Command center now being produced here, and killed that SCV, creating that command center. And another missile turret right there. Certainly couldn't do too much harm. Yeah, going to be moving in again. Takes a couple shots from that one missile turret there. We're moving out with just Marines, as all of his Marauders seem to be getting picked up and picked off. Ballistics on the way for those Liberators. And the command center nearly complete another command center, and a third command center. So he's just really pounding out these command centers here. And now 4 Liberators on the field. And our Protoss now starting to stack up some of those High Templars. Gonna blast down some Psystorm. And additional gateways now coming up with the advent of that third expansion. Missile turret coming up here, but SCV is gonna get picked up and taken out. Command Center lands, and another missile turret here coming up. And lots of death there. The majority of those Marines lost, or a good portion of them rather, and those Marauders trying to get out of there. The Widow Mine set up here in a pretty decent spot, but gets picked up immediately by the Observer there. And now there's a lot of Liberators on the field, so if these Phoenix get bunched up, they're going to feel the wrath of that for sure. Now the 2 missiles are up. It's going to be a little bit harder for those Phoenix to get in there without taking an inordinate amount of damage. And even more Liberators on the way now. Really stacking on those Liberators, pretty tough. 8 Liberators on the field now. And a couple of them in defensive mode there, but some of them staying in fighter mode. And now some Tempests around the field, and going to try and take out that missile turret, but SCVs are there to repair that up, and some rockets come out from the Liberator, and pushing in a little bit there, and gets around the backside, and pushes right around the backside of Adonminus, which is a somewhat hard word to say, I suppose. You kind of want to say it a different way every time you see it. And Phoenixes wipe out all of those Liberators and the Medivacs. And now the Liberators in trouble here. And Liberators just not particularly good air-to-air fighters, really. Mostly just used for that defensive position. And pretty good against Mutalisks when they bunch up really nice and tight. Other than that, meh. That's what I say about the Liberators. Defensive mode is awesome. Fighter mode, meh. And now DeMuslim in a little bit of trouble here. There's this Phoenixes everywhere. Very, very nice Phoenix play indeed. And we even brought an Oracle in for fun. And the 4 Tempests here blasting away at the Planetary Fortress, but that's going to take pretty much forever to kill that, especially with those SCVs on there. And DeMuslim GG's out. A pretty sudden GG, but a warranted one nonetheless, as he pretty much had nothing left and was wiped out by lots of High Templars and some Adepts in the mix. I don't see too many High Templars left. Most of them may have been killed off in the battle, but I think a little bit too many Liberators for DeMuslim that time around, and just the only problem, Liberators just kind of meh in the air. Their defensive mode is insanely awesome with their damage pretty much just one-shots a good portion of units, or at least 2 shots them. But hope you guys enjoyed the replay, and I will see you guys next time.